in the cloud. All right, I think we're live on Facebook. All right. Hi, Kyle. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm really good. I just want to confirm that we're live on Facebook. I'm Julianna, and I'm coming to you from the Whole Body Renewal Center. I want to check to make sure everything's coming up live on Facebook. So, how are you today?
Fabulous.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, we are live. Hi, I'm Julianna Sauber, Whole Body Renewal. I am really excited tonight to have Kyle Odom with us. Kyle is a Reiki practitioner, and she is one of the practitioners who is joining us for the Bloom Festival Jubilee Women's Retreat, which is coming up June 12th and 13th in Three Rivers, Michigan. And it's just going to be an awesome opportunity for 25 beautiful women to come together and advance their healing and set their foundations for energy. So, Kyle, I'm really excited to have you here. And I'm not even going to do an intro. I'm going to have you tell everybody about yourself.
Well, this is, I'm a practitioner, a Reiki practitioner, energy healer. I also do chakra balancing, and just pulling on all the modalities that spirit offers. I have a passion to see people heal and whole. And so I've been not necessarily in this venue, but I've always had a passion of spiritual healing, even back probably 10 years ago, more on the venue of probably religion. And then I saw that that kind of put things in a box. So I just wanted to open myself up to see what spirit had to offer. So I'm excited about seeing women get healed from mostly childhood things are usually what we struggle with, but even things that we bring on ourselves by making choices that we do. So I'm just excited about seeing these women come together, especially when, you know, this society says that women really don't appreciate each other or value each other. So to get in this type of atmosphere and environment to see women just really walk through this journey of becoming a more whole and free person.
Absolutely. Why do you think it's important for women to do this work together?
Because I think we just glean off of each other. I'm even looking forward to learning things from the women. So I just think that we can just pull things off from each other, and it's more like a sisterhood. Mm-hmm. You know, this culture does not cultivate sisterhood. Mm-hmm. So I think this is just a venue to do that in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we heal better together, don't we?
Yes.
Absolutely. And what do you think in terms of what drew you to want to be part of this particular retreat? And give us an idea of what you feel, at least going into it, what your contribution might be to those who are coming and participating.
Well, I will be helping the women make mala bracelets. And I mean, you know, we always kind of overthink things. So, I mean, I just want to start off for the women to even just like, what beads are calling your name, mm-hmm. you know, because they're going to choose us versus them choose us choosing them. So mm-hmm. to just not let the women know that, you know, this, don't overthink things, mm-hmm. like just let it flow and just see what beads are going to be attracted to you. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, them just starting to make their intention, even with making the bracelet. And I mean, you could do an intention on each bead if you wanted to, yeah. And just to see at the end of the 2 days what that looks like.
So a mala bracelet, for those who aren't familiar, or a mala necklace is a type of, I'll use the word prayer bead, but mm-hmm. not prayer in a religious standpoint. It's an opportunity. Each of those stones, each of the chosen elements have a personal symbolic meaning. And I love the idea that you talk about the bead choosing them, the stone choosing them. It's like this interplay between the stone and its signature and their own intuition. my own experience was I didn't follow intuition for many, many years. And when I started to follow intuition, that was a really powerful shift for me. How has intuition or following your own intuition changed things for you personally?
It just opened me up to just going with the flow. I
Mhm.
think a lot of times we're like salmon swimming upstream. You know, instead of being open to what the universe has for you, we're trying to make things happen the way that we feel like they should happen.
Yeah.
And to just be open to the universe and spirit and see what that has for us, because it's much greater than what we could have for ourselves if
Yeah.
we're just open to that and not trying to control or manipulate things to make us feel good. And sometimes it can be uncomfortable,
Mhm.
especially if you're just starting off your journey and just being more open to what spirit has for you. It can be a little uncomfortable, but you know, the earth was formed under pressure. So for us to be under pressure is a good thing, because then there's a lot of change that goes on versus us being comfortable.
Yeah, yeah, very true. That really highlights the difference between a masculine approach versus a feminine approach. And not that I'm not saying men are bad or masculine ways of doing things are bad, because they aren't. We accomplish a lot when we're in under or we're within our masculine side. But women are taught to behave more masculine, which you mentioned a few of those. I'm going to make this happen, very structured, very driven, very out of their intuition, and pushing against things, forcing things.
Mhm,
Where the feminine is more like water, it's about flow, it's about allowing,
mhm.
it's about nurturing and bringing nourishment in. And that felt like a piece of this. It's been a piece of my own personal journey, and it feels like a big piece of what's happening on the earth right now is the feminine is advancing. It's coming up to its position, if you will, or coming up to a higher a level of awareness. And women are resisting that. But those that are starting to tap into their intuition are letting that flow a little bit easier, and they're finding they're less stressed in life, right? So
Yes.
I think your salmon analogy is perfect.
Yes, and you know, even for myself, I used to be sort of a control freak, and I think it's based on fear,
Mhm.
the unknown. You know, it takes courage to be able to be open to what spirit has for us. But I mean, we were created not to know what's going to happen. I mean, as human beings, we don't even know what's going to happen a minute from now. So I mean, to be able to tap into what we're created to be anyway, and be okay with that.
Mhm. And be okay with that, because how many women are struggling with, I don't meet society's expectations, my house isn't clean enough, my body isn't perfect enough, my hair isn't soft enough, whatever it is, right? So
Right.
we are constantly in this comparison mode of, the Cosmo model, the model on the front of the magazine, I don't look like that, therefore I'm less than. My
Right.
house isn't as clean as my friend, therefore I'm not as good a mom, or I'm not as good a wife. So getting out of that comparison and allowing life to flow. What do you think, in terms of, did we lose you or just the video? There we
Uh,
go.
yeah.
um, what do you think in terms of flow is important about the retreat itself, the opportunity to immerse yourself? How does that encourage people to allow life to flow a little bit better?
Um, Let me think about that. Well, I mean, just it's called the Bloom Festival. So I mean, it's a journey. I
Hmm.
mean, they're gonna start planting seeds when they first get there. And that could be considered intentions. And just to see, we're gonna plant those seeds, and then we're gonna see how after the 2 days they're gonna bloom into something beautiful.
Hmm.
And even just having your heart open to not having any preconceived notions on what that's gonna look like, I think will help us move forward in our journey of being free and healed, and all of those things that you're going to have in those 2 days of the retreat. I mean, it's like for those 2 days, it's going to be planting seeds the entire time. And then by Sunday, we're going to have something beautiful to show for it.
Yeah. Yeah. The beginnings, the blossoming.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of the power of immersion and the idea that we take life and we compartmentalize it for just a couple of days and we say, okay, life will be okay, right? My family's going to be okay. My house is going to be okay. I'll probably have more laundry than I expect, but that's okay too. And to pull yourself out of that life and then immerse yourself into this healing process. And the idea that you're going to learn tools and techniques and just ways of being differently that allow you to flow and allow you to be more present in your everyday life and less worry. You mentioned fear. How do you think that fear plays a factor in opening up hearts or not opening our hearts?
Yeah. I because I think it's because of the unknown. And then we do have these preconceived notions on how we should look, act, and all of that, and comparing ourselves to other people. Dang it, I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
should have put my phone on do not disturb. Um, even with the whole comparison thing, I have pointed out to my granddaughter, she's 19. I said, we are so different that even one side of our body is different than the other. Like I was even looking in the mirror, it's like your eyelash pattern is different on one eye than it is the other.
Right.
And I mean, we were created to be so different, but because of this culture, they want us to fit in and compare ourselves to each other. And it's so not good for our soul and our spirit to do that. I mean, it's so confining and limiting to do that, where, my mother's generation wouldn't even think about, stepping out and wanting to be free and not compare themselves to each other. That would be a sin in itself. So, I'm excited that now we're in a time that is so exciting because women are being more and more okay in their own skin. Yeah. And we haven't had that for such a long time. And so I'm saying, I think some of the women that'll come to the festival really won't even understand what they're going to get out of it. Especially if this is their first retreat, that it's like, you're going to leave differently than what you came. You're going to be a different person when you leave. Yeah. There's going to be some things that you'll be able to take home with you and that are life-changing, that, you'll be able to use these tools to continue on your journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Thinking of my own personal experience, I thought that I was going to be happy being the person that my family and my peer group and my college said, this is where you're going to find your path, right? So I followed that path, and I had this a facade on. I had this costume, if you will, and that costume shrouded every bit of my own personal energy and my own personal authenticity. And it's, as I've chipped away at the layers of that, using a lot of the tools that we're going to talk about over the course of that weekend, and those that I've repeated this process over and over and over again. The amazing part is, as I inch closer to my true authentic spirit, and I'm still in the process. So I love to experience these opportunities to work with other women and other practitioners, because I too continue to blossom. So as I experience that, and as that facade breaks away, and as those pieces are gone, and I stop comparing myself to other people, this unbelievable peace arises in me, and a true confidence that says, I'm doing this. This is me. I love this. This is amazing. And I'm so happy to be on this path. It didn't get there overnight.
Right.
And it took, I took years of research and study and like consolidate it down. And I said, okay, I want to make this like super foundational with the Bloom Festival Jubilee. This is the idea of planting seeds and watching things blossom, as you mentioned. And that first flower, and you look at it and you're like, wow, that's so beautiful. I had no idea that was inside of me. I had no idea that gorgeous thing was inside of me. And so allowing that to blossom and bloom. Can you give us an idea of what you've experienced, say using Reiki or some of the other techniques that you utilize in working with clients and will incorporate into the weekend? How does that help people to find that blossom within themselves?
Well, you know, we're made up of energy, and there's energy all around us. So even in this culture, I think energy healing and Reiki is something relatively new. But because of COVID, I believe, people are more open to receiving that kind of healing, where they might have not done that before COVID. That fear has driven them to like, oh, this is not working for me. Let me reach out to something else that might be beneficial for me. So I've even helped people in their journey of COVID and becoming healed faster, and their symptoms subsiding. I usually in my practice have some spiritual messages for them, whether they're from spirit or loved ones that have passed on, that have been things that they've been able to use to help heal their heart. And then just to be able to work on people's chakras, you know, that have been out of alignment, and you know, point out some things though that have been difficult for them to look at. But I explained to them, like, the reason why this is coming to the surface is because you're really ready to deal with it, even though it might be a little uncomfortable for you, but you're ready to look at this so that you can move on in your journey of healing. So I'm just excited just to see women even progress. I mean, I look at myself, and there's always been, I'm an only child, so there's been pressure on me, especially because they didn't have it to spread around, they just had me, to be a certain way. And I had two traumatic things within 6 or 7 months of each other that really woke me up and said, okay, this is not working for me anymore. I need to do things differently. And if it wasn't so painful, I would say, oh, let's do this again. But but you know, I do welcome the results of my pain, because you know, there's this quote that says pain will push you until your destiny pulls you. So you know, we go through painful situations, but once you get on the other side of that, you can see some beautiful flowers from that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you bring up connecting with ancestors, because there's two sides to ancestral healing. The one being that there are traumas and energies that that have been brought through our genetics and our energy fields, that can be an interference for our healing, you know, cords and things along those lines, which we will talk about, and how to clear those as part of the Bloom Festival and some of the toolkit that we're going to provide for people. But you've also touched on the ancestral healing that comes from the wisdom and the caring and the love of the healed ancestors we can be reconnected with, because they're there, they're ready for us, no different than angels around us. They are, because we operate on free will, if we're not asking for that assistance, they sit in the background and say, okay, we're waiting for her to say, I need help with this. Women are not great at asking for help. And if you're unwilling to ask for help among your community, or don't have someone you feel you can ask for help from, I'll give you two things right now. Number one is, you always have angels and guides around you that are ready to and eager to help you with anything. Just ask for it. And secondarily, as you meet more practitioners and more people on this journey, you have more people that you can reach out to. I'm struggling with this. Can you give me some guidance? Can can we work together to transform this experience, as you said, the two really painful experiences you had, transform this experience into a triumph that says, wow, I didn't like that, but it revealed so much that was important for the next part of my development, next blossoming element.
And I mean, I always, like at the beginning of my sessions with my clients, I always invite in spirit, their spirit guides, their guardian angels, their ascended masters, any ancestral modalities that want to come in. And sometimes I don't even ask, because it's kind of funny, usually when I get, and then I'll see somebody's face that's one of their ancestors that'll pop their head in, and it's like, hey, I haven't even finished it, and here you are.
Right.
And then they say, yeah, that was my pushy Ann. I'm not surprised that she would just pop in without you asking her.
Right. That's awesome. Oh, I just love it when the ancestors appear. Most people think this is super serious work, and I'm not saying that there isn't a serious element to it, but they think that it's never fun. And really, very candidly, the spirit world is a very funny, silly kind of thing. I often work with dragons, and when the dragons appear in session, they're often excited and dancing, and they're ready to go, and they're thrilled. And then I work with Archangel Michael a lot, and Archangel Michael is very funny. He's, he does silly things, like I'll every time I would start driving, I'm like, hey, can you sit on top of the car and like form this bubble around me so I have a safe trip? And after doing that about 40 times, I was about to do my normal process, and was like, these 2 feet came down on my windshield, like, I'm already here. It's
right.
You don't need to ask again. I'm like, okay. They are very funny. Like, they're silly and they're playful. And I think that's super important, because I don't want people to be afraid that they're coming to this weekend. You're going to work through some tough stuff, no doubt, but you're not alone. And there is a fun element to this. There's a lot of fun in seeing the silly, seeing the, oh boy, that was a big mistake, or wish I had made that decision. And seeing that for its magical properties of healing and transformation that is there and presented to us, and meeting our silly ancestors that have been just waiting to pop out and go, like, I'm here.
Yeah, and I mean, even activating that inner child in us. Children are so curious and want to explore and are playful. So to just even activate that in us, because I think we do take things too serious most of the time. So to just activate that inner child that wants to play and have fun and explore and be curious, and then, and then sometimes there'll be some stuff that'll get in there that is like, ooh,
right.
But
we should activate the inner child as part of the fire ceremony at the end of the day on Saturday, because that's the point when we're going to dance and jump around and do fun stuff. So if we activate that inner child and let that like 3, 4, 5-year-old come out and be silly and play, won't that be so much more fun?
Oh yeah, let that bubble up.
Yeah, let's have some fun with it. And we do want to have fun. And one of the things I would encourage people is, if you're coming for the retreat, is to let it loose. Wear clothing that makes you feel beautiful, that makes you feel light and lively. And if you go out and you buy the wildest top you've ever bought in the world, come wear it, because that's such an expression of you. I've always had this like bohemian, wild print, whatever. And I'm not wearing it today. I'm wearing blue, but blue felt like the right energy for today. But I have more and more of these fun, wild, energetic prints, because that feels so authentic to me.
Right.
And the unrestricted, unrestrained, apparently I'm an Aquarius rising. So there you go. My Aquarius is now like, how many colors can I get in my wardrobe?
So, right. I've never had a struggle with that. That's for sure.
You have a lot of color in your wardrobe. So
I have a lot of color.
You do. And maybe you can help us in the retreat to express our color.
Yep,
bring some of that out. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So I would encourage people coming to the retreat, let's bring some bright color into this. Let's kick that black out and the gray, which is all such a part of our decor and our clothing and everything else. I just got rid of a whole bunch of black and gray out of my wardrobe. I'm like, let's just not have this. Let's do color and bring more color. So if you're coming to the retreat, I encourage you to bring a scarf that's got lots of color, a blanket that's got lots of color, and just envelop yourself in the frequency of color, because it brings so much light. Now, you mentioned the chakras. Can you give us just a little bit more information on the chakras?
Well, you know, it's like we have all these energy points that we are made up of, but there's 7 main ones, which would be your crown chakra, which would be the top of your head, your third eye, which is between your brows, your throat, your heart, your solar plex, your sacral, and your root chakra. So those, when those are out of balance, it's caused because of things that we are struggling with sometimes, or we have blockages. And so through energy, you can rebalance those chakras and see where you feel different. You know, you might, before your chakras were out of balance, you might be all over the place. And once they're balanced, you feel more centered.
So root chakra, let's start with that one for a second. I am safe. Right? Root chakra,
Right.
safety, foundation, family, security, home. So if you have, if you had a situation where someone was abusive to you, you were left by a family member, someone you cared greatly about, maybe it was a parent, maybe it was a sibling. If you were violated in some way, oftentimes victims of rape or domestic assault struggle with I am safe. If your family was really struggled with money, as an example, that can affect your root chakra. So you don't feel safe, and oftentimes this is the place where suicidal thoughts come from, in part because we don't feel like we deserve to be here.
Right.
And so someone might be hearing this and they're like, well, I'm not going to spend the money on that retreat. I don't really deserve it. It's not meant for me. What's the point? I don't really have a purpose in this life. And I might say to you that when you experience something like this retreat, with the healing with the practitioners that are going to be there, and the experiences you're going to have as you reestablish safety in that root chakra, which is much easier than you might think. As you reestablish safety in that, all of a sudden, not only are you're willing, or you're worthy of being here, but you recognize that the world has a need for you, and you have a place, and you have a purpose. And so as you establish that, and that feels very foundational, and you feel solid, then you move up into stepping into your own power and stepping into creating your own life. But it really starts with that foundational chakra. So that's an example of the root chakra. Now we're talking about self-love. And root chakra always feels like a great starting point. We always want to jump to the heart chakra, which you got to work in the heart chakra, right? We have to open up our heart chakra. But starting with root, for some people, is so incredibly important. And because they aren't going to open their heart if they don't feel safe to open their heart.
It's sort of like a foundation. You know, you got to build a good foundation in order to build anything on top of it.
Yes. Yeah. So the colors for the root chakra for the masculine side are red, and for the feminine side is white. So we'll explore some of that as part of this retreat. Is, what do those chakras look like? What are the I am statements that support that? How do you bring that energy into there and then open it up so it's clear and flowing? And then you can express yourself authentically.
Yes, I
Awesome.
really agree. And to me, like, I struggle with my throat chakra, you know, like speaking my truth. And so I've really been working on that, and I can really see a difference, you know, where, and it's like, it's a shift, like all of a sudden, it's not even like you have to work at it. Like if it's in balance, then it just shifts, and then you're in a place where your chakra is actually operating like it should. but
Yeah.
there's no work that you had to put into it. You just had to be open for the change.
Yeah, and I to maybe talk into that in my own personal experience in doing the vocalization work, which we're going to be doing as well on Saturday. In terms of expressing my authentic voice and setting boundaries and holding them, I used to do, if I did that, I did it very nervously and kind of aggressively because I was worried about the person's response. So it always came out as like this forceful kind of almost yelling, right? And now it's more of a, okay, this is my boundary. I appreciate your support in holding my boundary. And I wish you many blessings on your journey. Like literally, it is not, there's no weird emotion. There's no aggression. There's no need. It is literally this even keel. And I agree with you. It's like it's like at some point in time, it switched over.
Like flipping on a light switch.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the vocalization work, you've experienced Aurora's vocalizations, and anybody that attends the retreat will also experience those. We'll be talking to her next Tuesday. Vocalizations, and I utilize those in my sessions as well, are this incredible opportunity to whatever's stuck in there, if you don't even know what it is, because 90% of it's subconscious anyway, it just gets released. It's the coolest thing. And it's really a fun experience. The first time you do it, you go, whoa, that was weird. And then the second time you're like, oh, that was kind of cool. Third time you're like, how do I do that again?
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, okay. So your contribution for Bloom Festival, Mala bracelets, which are going to be incredible. That's the beginning. We're going to set our intentions for the weekend. You'll be one of our guides, one of our planters, if you will, and helping people to come through their experiences and feeling supported and safe. And you're also a practitioner who works with individuals who on a one-on-one basis, right? Both local and distance. So that's super cool. Anything else you'd like to throw in terms of the Bloom Festival Jubilee to encourage those that are on the fence, that aren't quite sure yet?
Take a chance. There's no coincidences. So if you're looking at this video, it's for a reason. So don't let your ego and your fears overcome you. Like you're listening to this for a reason. And really to think like, what's the worst thing that could happen if I go to this retreat? It's not going to kill you. You're not, so like, let's take a chance and see what shows up.
Yeah.
And it's called the Bloom Festival for a reason. So I'm sure a lot of you out there love flowers and you want to see yourself in that beauty, because flowers are so beautiful and they're so different. There's no flower that is the same. No. All of them are all different. And that's the way Spirit created it. So I would love to be able to guide you, support you on your journey. I give off great energy, just in case you haven't filtered through the video.
He does.
And just looking forward to being able to support women that really want something different. Yeah. That what you're doing right now is not working for you. So let's try something new.
Yeah. Amazing. I agree. Take the leap, jump in and do something that's for you. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kyle. And oh gosh, we're so welcome. I'm so excited about June. I can't hardly stand it. I don't want to rush it because I want it to unfold the way it's supposed to, but I'm really excited for it to be here. So we'll be in Three Rivers, Michigan. That's where the festival is. So if you have to travel in from out of town, there are hotels just a few miles away. I do have a few spots for rustic camping. So literally tent or hammock. We're going to be outdoors quite a lot, so I'd encourage people to bring chairs and blankets. The weather should be perfect by then. You know, it should be about mid 70s, which is amazing. And I'm providing lunch on Saturday, a really healthy lunch, and you get gifts and you get amazing transformation. And what else could you ask for? Through May 15th, the cost is $222 to attend for the whole weekend, and it'll go to $255 after that. So I'd say buy your ticket now. Everything's available on Eventbrite, and I'll be putting the link in the comments below here. And we look forward to meeting you
Yes.
and really watching you blossom. So yay, super cool. Thank you, Kyle.
Oh, thank you.
All right, have a good night.
All righty. You too. Bye-bye. Sure.